Please find your seats. Please find your seats. We're going to start our meeting right now. The auditorium will come to order. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, trustees, superintendent, staff, and public. Welcome to the South Bay Union School District Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, 2024, and it is one of our trustees' birthday. Raise your hand. Okay. As a courtesy to others, we ask that you silence your cell phones during our meeting, and we thank you for your cooperation. Again, we're starting our meeting and it's 6:04. We welcome everyone. We are going to call the order.
Liker,
Present.
Lopez Aguino,
Here.
Medina,
Here.
Quinones.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are all present. We have trustees. I have not shared this with you, but we have the honor of a student today asking to lead our Pledge of Allegiance instead of myself. And of course, as the chair, I said on the behalf of the board, of course. So today I'd like to welcome up one of our own music students who has volunteered to lead the Pledge of Allegiance for all of us this evening. We ask everyone to welcome Sofia Olivas Velasquez, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, Sophia. Come on down.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. You may sit down.
So I don't know if anybody remembers this meeting, but there was a request in December that we bring our music program in honor of our happy birthday trustee today. And so therefore our instrumental music program is here to perform. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. It is so awesome when we have students join us at our meetings. Today is special in that we have the music ensemble with us and we have the opportunity to recognize our distinguished scholars tonight. So thank you, trustees. It's going to be a long meeting, but these are important items on our agenda. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize our director, Susie Chavez, who will introduce the 2024 District Scholars. Thank you. We're still waiting for the screen. Thank you, Ms. Cooper.
Good evening, President Quiñones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, our executive team, colleagues, and our community. Welcome to our 23-24 South Bay Union School District Distinguished Scholars Recognition Celebration. Bienvenidos a la celebración de reconocimiento para los alumnos distinguidos del Distrito Escolar de South Bay. We want to first start, before we start with our Distinguished Scholar recognition, we want to thank our Imperial Beach Optimist Club, who is representing them tonight by Michelle Syverson. Miss Michelle Syverson will be presenting the students with a certificate and also a goodie bag as well. So we appreciate the Optimist Club support. Thank you. So our Distinguished Scholar recognition, this is the Board of Trustees will be honoring one outstanding 6th grade student from each school site and an 8th grade student from each of our charter schools based on the following criteria: scholarship, test results, classroom work, deportment, service to the school, general attitude toward learning. Este reconocimiento de alumnos distinguidos, la mesa directiva honrará un estudiante sobresaliente de 6º año de cada escuela y a un estudiante de 8º año de cada una de nuestras escuelas autónomas, según los siguientes criterios: logros académicos, resultados de exámenes, trabajo en clase, comportamiento, el servicio a la escuela, actitud general hacia el aprendizaje. And without further ado, we are going to start by first presenting our first Distinguished Scholar from Bayside STEAM Academy. We have Principal Griffith presenting an award to Josue Leon. Come on up.
Good evening. Josue's teacher, Mr. Luna, could not make it, so I'm going to speak on Mr. Luna's behalf. These are Mr. Luna's words. We are proud to introduce Josue Leon as Bayside STEAM Academy's 2024 Distinguished Scholar. Josue is kind, helpful, funny, brave, and hardworking. He excels both academically and through his citizenship. I have seen him change from a shy student to one willing to lead a group, volunteer an answer he is unsure of, and stand up for himself and his friends. He is a self-motivated student and one who takes not knowing about a topic as a challenge. Josue has stood out among this year's sixth graders. We are very proud of him and look forward to learning about his future achievements. Congratulations, Josue. And you can sit. I'm also pleased to introduce the Virtual Academy Distinguished Scholar, Emma Parker. And this is what Emma's teacher, Ms. Gonzalez, had to say about her. We are pleased to introduce Emma Parker as the 2024 Virtual Academy Distinguished Scholar. Emma is an amazing student. She's been a virtual student for several years and has all the attributes of a successful virtual learner. She is very responsible and goes above and beyond what is required on assignments. Emma participates and is engaged during class. She adds to class discussions with more information and clarification. She advocates for herself when she is not sure about what she needs to do or doesn't understand. Emma is a role model for others as she makes her education a priority. Working with such a student as Emma is a pleasure. Congratulations, Emma. And now I'd like to introduce Principal Prosapio from Berry Elementary School.
Good evening. I would actually like to welcome up South Bay's District Teacher of the Year, Miss Erin Major. Please join us. Santiago, come on up.
All right, I am thrilled. Good evening. I am thrilled to recognize Santiago Castañeda Casares tonight. It came as no surprise, talking with the other teachers, to any of his teachers from kindergarten on, that he is our distinguished scholar for 2024. Even as a baby bear, Santi was an incredibly hard worker and a leader among his peers. He is an active learner and already putting in the work to achieve his goals for the future. Excuse me. He is involved in school activities, including our safety patrol, our lunch league, after-school sports, and after-school math enrichment, as well as off-season football. Yet he still makes time to do an excellent job on his homework assignments, help out his parents, and be a loving and responsible big brother. You are phenomenal, Santiago, and your Berry family is very proud of you.
I would like to welcome up Principal Central Elementary School, Mr. Edgardo Salazar.
Thank you, Principal Prosapio. And I have the pleasure and honor of calling our wonderful sixth grade teacher, Gabriela de la Torre.
Good evening, Superintendent Espinosa, trustees, parents, teachers, members of the community. It is my pleasure to present to you Central Elementary's Distinguished Scholar for the 2023-24 school year, Vania Cabrales. I consider myself lucky to have Vania in my class this year. I have seen her growth and I am truly astonished by her maturity and her dedication to her schoolwork. Vania has been at Central since 2017 when she started as a kindergartner. She has grown into a wonderful human being who gives back to her school and has many friends. She also did exceptionally well on her state testing last year, which allowed her to be reclassified this year. So Vania, along with some of her other peers, 2 years ago helped write our Central Elementary Pledge, which is recited every Monday after the Pledge of Allegiance. So Vania is extremely motivated to learn as much as she can in every content area. She's passionate about learning. She completes her homework and her classwork diligently and meticulously. Vanya is not only an excellent scholar, she also is a considerate, friendly, insightful, and excellent example of what a central smart scholar should be: safe, motivated, artistic, respectful, and trustworthy. Congratulations, Vanya.
Now let me invite Principal Nelson from Emory Academy.
And I would like to call up Miss Shelley Molina. And Brandon Powell.
Good evening. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Brandon Corral as our Distinguished Scholar of Emory Elementary. Brandon is the ideal student that every teacher dreams of having. Brandon is disciplined, responsible, punctual, patient, kind, a gentle spirit, academically at the top of his class. He's a Z reader on our F&P assessments. He tests at his exceeds expectations in both math and reading, ELA, in state test. The list could go on forever. But even more important, however, is that he knows the importance of an education, and he truly, truly values it. He spreads his infectious love of learning and that beautiful smile with all that interact with him. He is an inspiration, a role model, and a leader. Currently, Brandon serves as the president of our Emory Student United Nations and is very respected amongst our student body, making him an invaluable asset at Emory Elementary. I, alongside his family, those that are present tonight, and some of those that could not be with us, are so proud of his exemplary accomplishments this year. Big, big congratulations to you, Brandon. We're so proud.
Now I'd like to call Principal Dr. Vargas from IB Charter. Good evening, board members and all of our visitors. Thank you so much. I am the proud principal of Imperial Beach Charter, and I have the absolute pleasure of introducing our 6th grade Distinguished Scholar this year, who is Miss Priscila Briceño. This year's Distinguished Scholar Award winner has been characterized as someone who is kind, courteous, critical, strong, and academically engaged. She is a student who takes pride in her work and is dedicated to being a leader inside and outside of the classroom. She is a student who excels in her academics, thrives when given challenges, and motivates others to reach their full potential. She shows spectacular perseverance and expresses a genuine love for learning. This student is more than deserving of this year's Distinguished Scholar Award. Please join me in congratulating this year's Distinguished Scholar for 6th grade at IB Charter, Priscila Briceño. And now I hand it over to Miss Mary Everett, one of our 8th grade teachers.
Good evening. The Distinguished Scholar Award is given to the student who has exhibited superior academic performance in all subjects for the entire year. 8th grade as the whole team selects the awardee. I am pleased to announce that this year's Distinguished Scholar Award goes to Miss Lily Moody. Lily has exhibited outstanding attention to detail and has maintained a 4.0 GPA all year. She is an avid reader. She loves to tell teachers daily facts about what she's learned or read about. She's taught me a lot, showing her love of learning and how she likes to dig deeper into her knowledge in every subject area. Teachers can always depend on Lily to give her more insight into their subjects and to expand on a topic. She was also recently voted most likely to succeed by her classmates. She is a dedicated softball player for IB Charter and is an active member of the Boy Scouts of America in the community. We are very proud to have Lily representing our school as a distinguished scholar. Congratulations again.
And now I would like to introduce Mr. Marlo Vasquez, the principal of Mendoza Elementary.
If Miss King can come on up.
Is Ivory Jimenez here? Are you here, Ivory? You hiding? Is she part of the band? No. We don't know why, but we still want to read about Ivory and recognize her wonderfulness. Greetings, I'm Kimberly King, sixth grade teacher at Mendoza. I am pleased but not surprised to present Ivory Jimenez as Mendoza's 2024 Distinguished Scholar. From the start, I saw that Ivory was a little shy, but she was not shy about her education. She was serious. She desired to be engaged in the entire school experience. Her attitude, work ethic, and high levels of participation showed me that I was in the presence of a distinguished learner. Ivory is on the quiet side, and it would be easy to pass her by, but I'm glad I took a second look and a listen. Because if you get Ivory discussing something she is passionate about, like reading or history or jellyfish, you will have your hands and ears full. Ivory has proven herself to be hyper-focused on success. Everyone who works with her has the fortune of being in a patient and encouraging space. Her peers benefit as she uses her high aptitude in reading and math. She was tested at mid-sixth grade at the beginning of the year. And she helps her groups move forward. And she always does it with a smile. Ivory is a wonderful person and a wonderful friend. Congratulations, Ivory, wherever you are, for being Mendoza's 2024 Scholar.
Now I'd like to welcome Principal of Nestor Academy, Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the proud principal of Nestor Language Academy. I have an easy job today. Behind our distinguished scholars, I'm going to hand it off to our distinguished teachers, Mr. Elindo Fernandez for sixth grade and Jose Villegas for eighth grade.
Good evening. It is with great honor and pleasure to select Ilsa Villanueva as our sixth grade distinguished scholar for the 2023-2024 school year. Ilsa is an extraordinary student who has demonstrated excellence academically in a dual immersion program starting her learning journey at Nestor Language Academy. She has reached proficiency in math, reading, and writing in both English and Spanish. Ilsa stands out because not only does she demonstrate passion in her learning path, but also devotes her time to commitment to extracurricular activities. She proudly sponsors or supports Nestor with her talent in mariachi. Outside of school, Ilsa is involved with the Boy Scouts in the city of IB. For fun, she enjoys swimming and surfing. Ilsa demonstrates devotion, commitment, and endurance, participating in 11 surfing competitions and taking 1 win home. Not only does Ilsa excel in academic and extracurricular activities, but she's also a role model as she demonstrates excellent behavior. Ilsa is a portrait of our school motto by being respectful, responsible, and safe. I am proud of all that she has been able to accomplish and excited to see what the future has in store for her. Felicidades, Ilsa Villanueva.
Good evening, board members and community. My name is Jose Villegas, and on behalf of Nestor Language Academy's 8th grade teachers, it is my pleasure to introduce this year's Distinguished Scholar, Adamari Gonzalez. Adamari is a straight-A student who has always been very involved in extracurricular activities. This year, she has been involved in ASB, cheerleading, basketball, volleyball, family math night, family literacy night, and was involved in safety patrol and sports throughout her elementary years. In addition to all that, she is always looking to help the school in any way that she can. As Nestor's 8th grade Distinguished Scholar, Adamari has not only excelled as a student, but more importantly, as a classmate who is kind and encouraging to others. She has been part of Nestor's dual immersion program since kindergarten and considers her ability to communicate in English and Spanish as an important part of her cultural identity, as well as means for a better opportunity for her future. She plans on attending Southwest High School, and in regards to future career plans, her goal is to attend Yale University and work on cancer research, where she will continue helping others as she always has. Congratulations, Adamari. We're all very proud of you.
Now I'd like to call up Principal Medina from Nikolov.
Good evening, and I would want to hand it over to our distinguished and our lead teacher, Mr. Abraham Alvarado.
Good evening. Today we are here for Rogelio Cuadras Gonzalez. Exemplary is a term that is defined as an excellent model or example. During this school year, Rogelio has proven to be an exemplary student in terms of attendance, attitude, work ethic, cordiality, and academic achievement. Rogelio's perseverance to excel for the past years is highly evident and very much appreciated. Rogelio truly embodies a model student. Rogelio, there's no question that you're an outstanding student and you are going to be an outstanding citizen. We are very proud of you, and today you are him. Congratulations, Rogelio Cuadras Gonzalez.
Next, I would like to call Principal from Oneonta Elementary, Principal Solis.
Good evening, President Quiñones, Superintendent Espinosa, trustees. As the proud principal of Oneonta, I would like to introduce to our 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Nelson, who will introduce to our Orca Scholar.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to recognize Charlie Lou Garcia as the Distinguished Scholar from Oneonta Elementary School. One more. Charlie was chosen for this award because of her outstanding academics and leadership abilities. As an Orca leader, she has several leadership roles. Some of these roles include the Lighthouse Team, Safety Patrol, leading the chant at our Leader in Me assemblies every Monday morning, making announcements over the PA system, and she even emceed for our winter performance. Charlie has also had the honor of singing the Star-Spangled Banner and was chosen to lead the Pledge of Allegiance at a board meeting. Congratulations, Charlie. We are so proud of you.
Next, I'd like to recognize our distinguished scholar from Pence Elementary. If Miss Saheli Gonzalez and her teacher, Miss Cataño, if you can come on up, please.
Good evening, board members and families. Howard Penn's sixth grade team finds great pleasure in honoring Saheli Gonzalez as this year's Distinguished Scholar. Let's give her a hand. Today, where social media has consumed our youth, we encounter rare individuals who take pride in their schoolwork and make it a priority to achieve a better future. I can say Saheli's future looks very bright. Her determination to do well, ability to collaborate, and her maturity to make positive decisions will open the doors to many amazing opportunities. I've known Saheli, I had her as a first grade teacher, and she's just bloomed to a beautiful, bright girl, still helping and a role model. Her no excuse attitude will serve her well. We are all extremely proud of you, Saheli.
Next up, we'd like to introduce the distinguished scholar from Sunny Slope Elementary. If Principal Corrales could come on up, please.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce our dual immersion sixth grade teacher, Michelle Portilla.
Good evening. I have to first say that it is so extremely difficult to write 100 words about this wonderful student standing next to me when I can literally write a book. Our distinguished scholar is Christopher Esparza, and he has been at our school since TK. And so he has been part of the dual language since TK. Christopher is distinguished because of his strong morals, intellectual skills, and achievement he has possessed throughout his enrollment at Sunny Slope. He is a student who always puts effort and pride in his work. Christopher shows leadership skills which are evident when he sets foot on campus and when he serves on the school safety patrol. He excels in all academic areas, consistently works above grade level, and is biliterate in English and Spanish. Christopher is well-liked and respected by all his peers, and I like to emphasize all his peers. And this is because he is respectful, way too humble, and kind. This outstanding student would like to attend Harvard and study medicine or engineering. This is not surprising because he has the intelligence and the determination to achieve this. Que sigan los éxitos, Christopher.
I'd like to hand it over to Susie Chavez, Director.
One more round of applause for all of our distinguished scholars. I'd also like to recognize their families. So if the distinguished scholar could stand up, and their families, thank you for your support with your students. El reconocimiento no solamente es para el estudiante, pero también para las familias. Muchísimas gracias por todo el apoyo que les dan a sus hijos, a sus hijas aquí en nuestro distrito. So, felicidades a ustedes también. Now, if we could have just the distinguished scholars come on up, we're going to have a picture with our Board of Trustees. So if the distinguished scholars can come on up to the front, please.
Trustees, superintendent, staff, audience, we're going to take a 5-minute intermission. Thank you. Intermission. Yay. Thank you, trustees. We're convening the meeting now. Superintendent, staff, public, we bring the meeting to order. The room shall come to order. All right, so we're moving on down to item 6. Item 6. Can we have some order in the auditorium? Thank you. Thank you. All right, so our next item is report of action taken in closed session. Do we have a report tonight, board clerk? No report. Thank you. Moving on to number 5, changes in agenda. At this time, trustees and the executive team members may recommend. Excuse me, trustees. Please come to order. Please help yourself outside or take a seat. Our meeting needs to begin. Thank you. Changes in the agenda. At this time, trustees or executive team members may recommend changing the order of the agenda items and or request that the item of the consent calendar be placed within the discussion action section of the board meeting. The secretary will keep track of any recommendations. Please note, no new items may be added without advance public notice. Are there any changes, trustees? Hearing none, superintendent? No, thank you. Moving on to 5, approval of the minutes. I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the May 2nd regular board meeting agenda as presented. May I have a motion?
I move to approve.
We have a motion
I second.
and a second. We'll call for the vote.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Guino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you so much. We're on to item 7, communications to the Board of Trustees. I'd like to welcome up South Bay PTA Council. Welcome.
Good evening, President Quinones, board members, superintendent, audience. I'm glad to see so many people here. Our PTAs have been very, very busy. I'm exhausted. And I apologize for not coming to the last meeting. My dog had surgery, but she's doing really good. So I attended the concert that you got a little piece of tonight at Mendoza. Fabulous. Having had a daughter go through band through the VPA program here and band in Sweetwater, and now a granddaughter who has taught herself to play 6 different instruments. This was phenomenal. He has done a phenomenal job with your music program. I would love to see it expand. So I'm glad they brought the concert to you. I got to participate in bingo and rock painting during the Sunny Slope election because we had to make sure that we had quorum. I helped out at the Nestor Book Fair. That went really well. They had a phenomenal book fair. And just a side note, all of our book fairs have benefited the libraries in South Bay. They've had PTAs have given the libraries anywhere from, I think the least amount was 7,000 up to about 12,000. So I'm excited. As a retired librarian, it just really makes me very happy. Let's see. I've done a lot of meetings, elections, because I joined all of the PTAs in our district, and it's important to me to make sure that they have quorum. So I've done a lot of hopping to schools. I got to go to the TKK performance with the superintendent and Pamela, and it was really fun. It was a good performance also. Helped out at the IB Carnival that the PTA put on there, and just recently went to Oneonta's elections. So it's been very busy. We have boards at almost all of our schools. The last 3 are having their elections next week. So another busy week for me, but that's okay because we'll have boards at the beginning of the school year. And I met with the incoming board at Sunny Slope today, and they have a lot of good ideas. So I'm really excited. They have the most board members that I can remember in ever. So I'm really excited. So thank you very much for your attention and good evening.
Great report. Thank you so much. The next up would be our California School Employees Association, Chapter 59, CSEA. CSEA, Chapter 59. Okay, we'll move on. Southwest Teachers Association, SWATA. I know you're in the house, so welcome.
Good evening, trustees, executive team, colleagues, parents, and community members. I am the proud president of the Southwest Teachers Association, representing the over 350 educators of the South Bay Union School District. Over the last 2 months, we have engaged our members in the listening phase of the bargaining process. SWATA leadership listened to our members in order to understand what they want to improve in our contract. Our members had the opportunity to take a survey, attend a listening campaign meeting, and speak directly to our leadership team. Therefore, today, pursuant to Section 3547 of the California Employment Relations Act, the Southwest Teachers Association, better known as SWATA, submits its initial public proposal with respect to negotiations between the South Bay Union School District and SWATA. SWATA intends to negotiate Article 7, Health and Welfare Benefits, Article 11, Class Size, Article 18, Wages, which also includes Article 23, Preschool, specifically Article 23.9.1.1, and Article 24, Special Education. Our SWATA bargaining team, Norma, Lori, Melissa, and Alvaro Alvarez, will explain why these articles are important to our members.
Good evening. Health and welfare benefits to ensure the investment in educators' well-being by securing competitive benefits to attract and retain the best educators for our students. You have given our superintendent full coverage for him and his family. Your employees have less pay for their families' health care. Your employees deserve the same for peace of mind when in the classroom with our South Bay students. We don't want to lose more employees to San Diego Unified, who provides full coverage for their employees. Wages, Article 18, to ensure quality instruction now and for the future by securing competitive salaries and stipends to attract and retain the best educators for our students. This also includes Article 23, preschool, specifically Article 23.9.1.1. We live in a beautiful city with the most perfect weather, which means we need more for rent, food, and other personal expenses. So as we go to the table for this 1-year reopener, please give your team the ability to truly negotiate a fair living wage. Keep in mind, any wage increase is usually taken to cover the increase in benefits for our employees, to provide for their families. I would also like to point out your education specialists, SLPs, psychologists, who whose pay are not compatible to neighboring districts, which is apparent in tonight's resignation activity list. Watch closely.
Article 21, class size is a concern. Our members are concerned with the TK through third grade ratio as it causes inconsistencies and inequalities in class size, both in individual schools and across the district. And then another tremendous concern is combo classes. When we negotiated our contract 2 years ago, we brought this concern to the table. The district agreed to the language of making the best faith effort to avoid combo classes. In all honesty, I don't believe the best faith effort is being made. Already, we have high projections of combo classes for next year. Combo classes are a bear to teach and a disadvantage for our students. As an educator, I would never want my own child to be in a combo class. I understand that sometimes they are unavoidable. When this is the case, then you need to offer support for these teachers and compensate them accordingly for their extra workload.
Article 24, special education, ensuring quality special education programs to support students and educators while addressing workload concerns. Members pointed out their concerns for student safety with the current large class sizes, teaching 4 grade level spans within one classroom, the amount of work that needs to be completed outside the duty day to meet our student needs and the school district's legal requirements. Lastly, the need for more IEP release days.
SWATA also proposes a review of existing memorandum of understandings and side letters to assess their continued relevance and determine if they need renegotiation or are set to expire. We are looking forward to a collaborative negotiation process and reaching a mutually beneficial agreement. Thank you.
Next up would be our district superintendent.
Thank you, President Quinones. Good evening, board, staff, parents, and community that are here tonight. I just wanted to take a quick minute to recognize again and appreciate the students that were recognized tonight for their hard work. It is inspiring to see not only our students that were playing music for us tonight, but it's inspiring to see the hard work and the determination and success that some of our students are having in our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. It's wonderful when our students enjoy and join us in our work. It's especially important that we recognize scholars every year, and thank you for that. Congratulate them, and the instrumental music was outstanding. Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. Moving on to public comments. Public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments. The board will take no action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda, except as authorized by law. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each non-agenda item. Speakers are not permitted to yield their time to another person. The board limits the total time of public input on each item to 20 minutes. Do we have any public comments this evening, Ms. Cooper?
Yes, we have 4.
4. All right, we'll begin with our first one.
Kayla Stanley. I'll take care of the timer if you can turn on the microphone. There you go.
Okay, hi. My name is Kayla Stanley, and I'm a parent of a SPED student at Central and a student at VIP. with an additional 2 children that will enter this district. I'm here for the next 17 years, and I want to help you make this district better. At the top of the district right now, we have our superintendent, Jose Espinosa. I am outraged by the formation and process of the Superintendent Advisory Committee. Of the 31 members listed, only 3 are parents. I guarantee you, if the name of the committee was School Consolidation Committee, there would have been more parents requesting to be a part of the discussion from the beginning. In addition to the convoluted name, the first public communication about this committee and its intent came at the end of phase 1. This was after 2 of the 4 discussion meetings had already been held. The announcement in no way invited community input or attendance to the remaining meetings. It wasn't until the SAC had completed their recommendation to the Superintendent Espinosa on March 13th that public and parents were informed about these town hall style meetings. At the end of the last SAC meeting, it stated outreach with input and opportunities to share ideas and to be voiced. Instead, parents showed up to these town hall meetings and were given no opportunity to speak publicly. We were only permitted to write down our thoughts. Keep in mind that this was only after the committee had already decided on a recommendation. Any parent input will merely be forwarded to the board. When confronted, Jose Espinosa responded with, "Tell the board." He has effectively shut parents out, creating his recommendation. Our superintendent literally silenced parent voice. We will not forget it, and it should be remembered by the board as well. Jose Espinosa, do better. Show our families that you value parent voice. Thank you.
Lynette Salome.
Good evening, school board, Superintendent Espinosa, and all guests here. I am here, my name is Lynette Salome, and I am here as a SDC and special education teacher, representing and speaking for all the special education teachers. This was written by one of our colleagues, what I'll read today. Thank you. This week, I read in dismay the link that was posted about special education, or more specifically, SDC, in our district-wide bulletin. The article with the title of "Too Much Downtime, Too Little Learning in Special Day Classes" that went out to the entirety of the teachers and staff of South Bay and did nothing to lift the morale of the already belligerent and marginalized group of professionals. I read this article all while thinking, is this what my administration really thinks about me and my colleagues? Well, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I see people who come to work early and leave late. I see people who try to do way too much with way too little. I see teachers who are in the constant battle to meet their very unique and individualized needs of our students with little to no help or understanding of those needs by administration. I see people who will spend their own money on materials to bolster a curriculum that does not come close to meeting the academic or social, emotional, behavioral needs. I see people who take home work that is legally mandated by the state, but with no time accounted for in an instructional day. I see people who are tired, who are ready to give up, who are thinking about changing a career that they absolutely love because they just can't do it anymore. I see people who are not thinking about money or social studies, but who do this work because they love these kids and these families and they want to fulfill a much needed role in their communities. So I ponder, Why was this article put on the South Bay Universe? Do you not want special educators? Because if I was thinking about applying here and saw this type of behavior from the superintendent, I wouldn't even have to think twice about not applying. Are you trying to get rid of the special educators that you have? Because honestly, we have damaged our relationship with many of us. There is no longer any trust here. I find the circulation of this article to be passive-aggressive bullying. As special educators, we are standing up for ourselves, our professions, our students, our families. You are not being received well. What better way to disperse us than to point fingers and alert the entire district about the big whining babies who do not do all day but complain? This article pertains to such a small percentage of your staff that it served no purpose being added to a bulletin, public bulletin, for all to see other than to have people question our professionalism. Is this truly a problem? And you are truly concerned about the state of our classrooms and the lack of learning? You could have found many more productive ways to address it. I'll start with this. You could come visit because you choose to present an article about us when you have never been in my classroom or many of our colleagues' classrooms. No, I believe the purpose of the posting of this article was to imply to everyone that we aren't worth the time or energy to fight for. But when we're discussing it, let's talk a little bit more where the article came. It was written by an educator at the San Jose State, not from anyone around here. So we've decided to investigate those classrooms. According to the San Jose Unified Contracts, it appears that their extensive needs classrooms look a little different than ours. Let's start with numbers. Their preschools have a max of 10 with a student-adult ratio of 1 to 10 students, 10 adults. Their TK second grade classrooms have a cap of 10 students with a minimum of 7 adults, or a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 ratio. Their third through fifth grade classrooms have a maximum of 10 students with an adult assigned to 2 students or a ratio of 2-to-1. If you are to take anything from San Jose, maybe this should be it, because our ratios of 14-to-3 and 18-to-1.5 aren't the same. But yes, maybe we see why you didn't want to mention that. Thank you.
I'd like to remind everyone, we can't hear up there when the public speaker is speaking, when you're clapping and we can't hear the speech. So, you know, let's give our public comment people the time that they deserve and the information to the board that we'd like to hear. So thank you for understanding that. Do we have another public comment?
Roxanne Palestino.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. First of all, good job to those teachers. You guys are lucky to have those teachers so united because there are parents that are struggling that don't even have teachers. We have permit teachers that have no idea what they're doing most of the time. And they're substitutes. They don't have unions. They can't come up here and speak like your teachers. You guys should be very proud and take care of those teachers because if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of needs. They're changing. And nobody has those teachers. So you need to take care of those special education teachers. You need them. And if you don't want them, someone else is going to take them. You, Mr. Espinosa, were not at the superintendent's council meeting back in March, but all those teachers were. You didn't show up. You're not showing up for our special ed students. I'm here collecting signatures because we found discrepancies between the 6 superintendents and the 6 southern districts because we have a multi-tier SELPA. So we want a special education audit in all the 6 districts. And if you guys have nothing to hide, you should go ahead and do it because we need to do it. Our kids are being denied services. We're not receiving the things that we need. And they tell us they don't have any money in the local news, but clearly there's money to get paid, to keep getting raises. But for teachers and our services, there's no money. We want to see where the money's being spent. We want to follow the money. So that's why we're here collecting signatures so we can get that special education audit. Thank you.
Kenya Peraza.
No worries, it's fine. Thank you. I think you will be here. Okay. Hello, good evening, members of the board. Good evening, teachers, PTA members. Hi, I'm not from this district, but I was 2 years ago superintendent in Espinosa. I think you remember me. I was a PTA president for Central Elementary. I opened that PTA because it was not done for many years. And I have a special, my heart is here in IB and for all of the students and teachers. So why are we here? We are standing here in solidarity with parents and teachers. I am here to address a critical issue regarding the allocation of special education funds. Public records are showing that these funds are intended only to the benefit and are only for special education. But now the SELPA director, which is the director of special education, he is advising all the 6 superintendents, including Mr. Espinosa, to redirect the funds to general education, since general education are the same as special education. And they're clearly not. There's misallocation not only goes against the intended purpose of these funds, but also deprives students with disability of the support they desperately need. We, the people, the community, the parents, the teachers, demand transparency and accountability in how these funds are managed. Every dollar earmarked for special education must be used for that purpose and that purpose alone. As a member of this community, we have a duty to ensure that the superintendent upholds these principles and acts in the best interest of all students, especially for those with disabilities. We have a petition. We're collecting signatures for all the community to support the special education kids and to have the audit of the special education funds. Thank you so much, and please find us to sign our petition. Thank you.
That was the last public comment.
Thank you. Thank you all for your public comments this evening. Moving on to item 9, discussion and action items. First up would be general functions. Item A, appointment to board subcommittee. I'd like to recognize our superintendent, Jose Espinoza, and I will entertain a motion at that time after the presentation. Superintendent?
Thank you, President Quinones. The district regularly has board policies, administrative regulations, and board bylaws that require updating. To increase the efficiency of this process, the board established a subcommittee in March of 2023 to review governance documents for referral to the board for final reading. Each year during its organizational meeting, the board is asked to appoint members to the subcommittee. In 2023, the board appointed Trustee Ellsworth and Medina to serve in this capacity for 2024. Following the resignation of Trustee Ellsworth, it is necessary to appoint an additional board member to this subcommittee. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Trustees appoint 1 board member in addition to Trustee Medina to serve on the Governance Documents Subcommittee.
Thank you, Superintendent. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for anyone that would like to partner with Trustee Medina for the remainder of the year. Hearing none. I move to appoint myself as a second term policy review and sit with trustee Medina. Do I have a motion?
I move.
You move.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Okay, we're gonna call for the vote.
Biker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
You guys. No, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Moving on to bond resolutions, I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Regal Lara, who will introduce Mark Farrell and Dale Scott and Company.
We do have a public comment on this item, so please let me know when you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Good evening, President Quinones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, staff and community. Before we ask the board to take action, I want to review a little bit of the timeline of how we got here. Back in May, a year ago in 2023, we presented to the board, or Mark Farrell did, and your board at the end provided direction to move forward with this survey to collect data on the likelihood that the community would vote yes on a 2024 bond. And we also moved forward with a survey, on a staff survey, to assess interest in workforce housing. Also in May of last year, we had a study session on the facility master plan where we identified the needs throughout the district, the facility needs, and also the high cost of the improvements needed. You know, the couple $100 million at the very least, $200 million at the very least for those improvements. In September, we came back with the survey results presented to the board. They were favorable as far as voting on one or two bonds and how people would vote depending on the ballot language. March of this year, we reviewed the survey results again, and then the board requested a draft of the resolution and also a draft of the potential project list for review. We provided that for you, and you have that in front of you, or you've had that, and it's also been part of the board materials this time around. So now we're here, May 2nd, at the board meeting, and we're looking to adopt the resolutions. Here again, you see the ballot language of the two ballots of the two elections. One is really focused on the repairs and improvements needed at all the facilities. The other election is really focused on, is focused on safety improvements and potential improvements around STEAM type learning environments for students. And before we ask the board to take action, are there any questions? Mark Farrell is, yes, he is here from Dale Scott and Company. He'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Open the floor for any questions from the trustees. You know, I always do. Wait, don't sit down. I know we've talked about this a lot, and I don't know if we talked about it last time you were here, but about the exemption for seniors. Okay, I was reading this. This is like, oh my goodness, we didn't talk about that last time you were here, and so you know, it's bad on me. But I would like to see some language in these bonds that support the exemption for seniors. What is seniors, 55 and over?
There actually is not a provision in state law. There's not a provision in state law that allows for a senior exemption for the property taxes for a GO bond. Only in a parcel tax. So a parcel tax is the flat tax that's used for operational purposes. There is a senior exemption in parcel taxes. There are not for general obligation bonds.
Okay, we have a public comment.
Susan Connors.
So just to be clear, I have switched hats. I am now a community member because I live down the street. But I had a couple of questions when I was reading through the board materials for tonight. And maybe a little concern because I knew that we were talking about bond measure. I didn't know we were talking about two bond measures. And tonight reading through this stuff was the first time that I saw that. And so a couple of things that stuck out. The design, acquire, and construct rental housing units for teachers and staff, including all related amenities and facilities. Isn't that what you just got rid of with the on-site security?
Which one?
That's like halfway down the list of what this would cover. And how does the insurance company feel about that? Because that's why we got rid of the on-site security, was because of insurance. So if we're doing housing for teachers and staff, which I love teachers and staff, I would give them half price houses if I could. If I won the lottery, you know, I'd provide it all for them, but that's a concern that I have. Another one that I have highlighted is athletic facilities and locker rooms. When we're talking about repurposing schools or consolidating schools, maybe a little concerned about that one. Construct, renovate, and improve school facilities for after-school programs. Isn't that covered if we update the schools and improve them because they're using those facilities? Repair and modernize outdated portable classrooms or replace them in permanent modern facilities. And I thought it was the goal to get rid of the portables because we've been talking about that for years and years and years. You know that. So I just have a lot of concerns and questions about these bonds before you actually vote on whether to do them or not. As a community member, and I understand the senior citizen thing because I qualify for that too, but that would be most of our community realistically. So I don't know if that's a good way to go either. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Susan, and the board will be voting on those tonight, but I'm happy to meet with you to discuss the difference between staff housing that is proposed in here and security residence. Those are two very, very different things. And so I'd be happy to meet with you to discuss that.
Assistant Superintendent Laura, could you address some of the items that a public comment has just shared with us in relation to the the project list with the athletics rooms, the after-school programs, and the portables? I mean, that's
Yes.
just like what I wrote down, but
When a project list is developed, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do every single item. We will be prioritizing based off of the funding that we receive. Like I mentioned before, the cost estimators is in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Obviously, the bonds that we hope to receive will not come close to that. So we will have to prioritize our spending and really look at what is needed at each site and what improvements and modernization we can do. As far as when you see athletic fields and lockers, that language there it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to provide lockers, but we do have 7th and 8th grade students who have a different program than somewhat a different program than our K-6 schools. So that's why that is there. Remind me the other questions.
the portables.
Portables, our intent is to remove them. We have been removing them. Now, we do want the option to have to improve one if we can't buy, if we can't provide buildings at every site, but we need that portable for kids. If we need it for, if it's a need at the school site, we want that ability to be able to at least upgrade that portable. But our intent is to remove portables. I'll be happy to provide a Friday update on all the portables that Director Franco and his team are set to remove to ensure that kids are in classrooms and buildings to the best of our ability.
Perfect, because these bonds are really important to our community, and a bond builds schools. That's how we got this school and all the schools in our district. So that is community tax dollars. So I won't be around when the bonds are paid off. It's like 2056. So your generation and your generation and your generation will benefit from this work. So saying that, some of our schools are 80 years old,
Yes.
and we're crumbling. We're crumbling. So, that's why we brought the bonds forward. And last month, I'm sorry you missed us, but, last month we agreed to have 2 bonds. And moving forward, I would like, to revisit our bond committee. Okay, and Kelly, you want something to say something? Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
So just to clarify, like, when the time comes, we will have new proposals to like for the specifics of this. And so this is a little open-ended so that when the time comes, we can address whatever is most important then and there. So
Correct.
is that how I understand
Yeah,
it?
I think
There's-
open-ended is best as far as to give the district the flexibility to do what's best for our kids and our teachers' learning environments.
Thank you for clarifying.
Can I just add something to that? There's a few different things going on in our district. We are potentially looking at a restructuring of our district as a whole based on the challenge that we're trying to meet around declining enrollment. Obviously, any of that is going to take some type of remodeling, some type of updating. One of the bonds talks about being able to use it for safety, focusing on STEM, things in the classroom that we may need to update that, on student programs, if we're going to rebuild our VPA, using some of that bonding to be able to help with that. So therefore, because we're looking at some potential restructuring of our district, we have to build in some flexibility in the bond list on some of those project lists, because again, we don't know exactly which direction the board is going to go with the recommendations that we're going to have. We don't know that for sure. And so when we're looking at the bond language, we want to create the most flexibility that we can so that whatever direction we head, the board is then able to prioritize those projects. So we want to make sure, and it's a lot. I understand it's a lot. And we're living this every day. So we understand the bigger picture. But I want to make sure that everybody understands that all these things are interconnected, right? One of the big things with the bond, the state will be going out for a bond, I am positive. And the way that money will be available to us is going to be by matching funds. That is what the state has done in the past. I project, Mark can let us know, but I project they will do the same in the future. And districts that do not have any bonds available, that do not pass any bonds, are not going to have access to the state bonds. So a lot of really important areas going on. We are trying to put something out there that is going to ensure some flexibility for whatever happens in our future. And so I believe that the duty of our district is put it out to the voters. That's what I believe. The schools belong to the community. And just like a house that belongs to me, if I let it crumble, then that's what we're going to have. And just as I'm talking, I just have I'm thinking of Central. One of the reasons, the biggest reason that Central is on the consolidation list is because of the state of that facility, because of the amount of money it's going to take to update it now because of its extreme needs. 49 million in today's construction dollars, which I'm sure in a couple of years will be 53, 54. So I want to make sure that the board and the community that's here understands how all these things are working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Anything you would like to add?
I think I spoke last time that I we all want the best learning environments for our kids and our staff, and they deserve what you see in other areas. Zip codes shouldn't matter when we're talking about educating our kids. So unfortunately, we don't get other type of funding to be able to improve our facilities, and this is the only way. And that's why I'm such a big proponent of hopefully passing this bond. But again, it is up to the voters and not me. That's all.
That sounds like a road sign. Zip codes don't matter. Pass the bond.
Shouldn't matter.
Should matter. Should matter. Okay, so any further comments or questions? The first superintendent, nothing. Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion for the first bond for repairs. For safety and STEM let's back up. A motion to approve resolution 23-036, safety, STEM, etc. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Second. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
At this time, I'm entertaining a motion on a resolution 23-042, basic facility upgrades. May I have a motion? I move. Thank you. Second. We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Now let's get the vote. Thank you, Superintendent. Moving on to educational leadership. Item C, 2021-2024 LCAP. Update. I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Pamela Riker-Montel, who will give us an update on the following: 23-24 annual update and 24-27 draft goals and actions. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. Good evening, President Quinones, Superintendent Espinosa, Board of Trustees, colleagues, and community members. This evening, I bring to you an update, twofold. An update on the LCAP annual update, which is a separate document, a separate template that we will be submitting with the new LCAP. It includes metrics, successes and challenges, and then differences in planned actions and expenditures, and then the actual expenditures. We will talk again about our draft goals and actions and seek continued board input. So in the annual update will be written around our current goals. So this is goal 1. And again, I know you've become very familiar with these goals, but the annual update, and I know it's tiny, it's just meant to show you that is what it's going to look like for each of the goals. There will be metrics. It will remind us what our baseline was, and then what our year 1 outcome, year 2, year 3, and desired outcome for the final year, which is year 3. So well, that's our desired outcome for year 3. And then next to it in the column, it'll show the actual. So this is just one area. This happens to be the CASP data, but this is one metric, a sample that how it will look. And each metric will have this information, much like the mid-year report that we saw in February, or I think January for a February 1st deadline. The same thing with goal 2. We will see the same sections around goal 2. So this is what it looks like currently in DTS, which is the system that we are able to draft in. And again, it will, in this case, the California Healthy Kids Survey is the first metric. And then it will go through the base. What was the baseline? Year 1, year 2, year 3. We are putting any data that we have right now in there. If it needs to be updated, it will update right before we bring it to the board. So again, we won't have some data, but we will have the majority. And lastly, goal 3, the welcoming and safe learning environments. And we will have a similar document around the metrics. This one happens to be around school climate and it is the California Healthy Kids data. But you can see as it goes down, there will be additional metrics. So the metrics may be pages of metrics. And then the section that is the narrative is the goal analysis. So following the metrics, there will be a goal analysis. What will be missing are the action steps. We're going to jump straight from the metrics to the following 4 questions. And this is an analysis of how each goal was carried out in the previous year. So a description of any substantive differences in planned actions. So that first one, and I know when I've been up here for the mid-year, it's that same concept, or even at the end of each year for the LCAP. So what are the differences between what was planned and what we actually did? So did we plan to do professional development and we were unable to do it? Did we plan to enter into a contract with the County Office of Ed and it didn't go through? So we explained that. The second question is around the material differences. So what was budgeted and what was spent? Right now we're dealing with estimated actual expenditures. We don't have the actual expenditures because the books have not closed. So you will see what we're anticipating. And then we have to explain the material differences. So that's the area that I'm currently working on, where I'm identifying in goal 1, action 1, what did we propose or what did we project we were going to spend and what have we actually spent? So I will do that for each of the actions under goal 1, goal 2, and goal 3. And then there's questions 3 and 4. And this is where it gets a little bit meatier, I guess, is because we are ending a 3-year LCAP, we have always had to explain if an action was effective or ineffective in making growth towards the goal. But let's say, for example, we might say, well, this particular, we were unable to fulfill an action, so it did not add to us meeting the goal. Now we have to describe the effectiveness or ineffectiveness. And then beginning in the new development, we have to change or delete any actions that were proven not effective. So that's that change. Now, again, I'm going to address it in this document. And then when you get to the new LCAP, you may or may not see some of those action steps because they are 2 separate documents at this point in time because we're closing out the old LCAP. And the last question or the last prompt, a description of any changes made to the plan goal, metrics, desired outcomes, actions. So this is where we'll describe any changes that you will then see in the new LCAP. Okay. And it may be changing the goal altogether. It may be taking out portions of the goal or action steps. And then the same, we have to identify if something was found to be ineffective, the reasons, and how changes to the action will result in something new. So if we choose to keep an action that we've identified we don't believe actually was effective, but we're keeping it, how are we changing it to make it effective in the future? So it's just a deeper analysis than we've seen in the past as we close out the final year of our 3-year LCAP and go into our new LCAP. So this will come in a separate document, but it will come to you in June at the same meeting that you are seeing the LCAP for the first time, the new LCAP, in the public hearing. And then final approval, it gets all packed together at the end of June. So now I'm going to move into the new LCAP. So we continue to work on the goals. Last meeting, I stood before you with the following draft goals, and there were 2 goals. The first goal being around district and school climate, culture, and connectedness. And the second goal around academic excellence for students. Now, these were the draft goals. We have continued to receive input on these draft goals. This happens to be the most recent feedback or input that we received from our LCAP committee, which was to revise goal 1 to be more concise. So to take some of the language out, And so instead of it being wordier in that goal, is to shorten it to, we will create and maintain equitable, welcoming, and safe learning environments that value diversity, language, individual culture, identity, interests, and the contributions of all educational partners, while also building the capacity and efficacy of all. And that we would actually add actions around continuous improvement cycles, professional development, differentiated support, because that was in there before. There was also a recommendation or a discussion, I should say, there was a recommendation and discussion around changing the order of the goals. So there was mixed feedback on what should appear first. Should goal 1 be about academics or goal 2 about academics? In this case, we have goal 1 as the district and school climate, culture, and connectedness, and the academic goal is goal 2. So there were some that felt like the academic should be goal 1, and the school culture, climate, and connectedness should be goal 2. And there was some discussion of that idea of what comes first. Is it about being connected to the school in order to learn, or do you feel more connected after you've had some academic success? So taking that and other input that we have received, we come before you this evening with a revised recommendation. The revised recommendation is 3 goals. This is a new goal. There's some similar language, but it's also some of the feedback that we received. Goal 1, and I do want to emphasize that the goal order, they're all weighted equally in the LCAP. So while there can be discussion around the order in which they appear, they are weighted the same. So one goal is not more important or better than the other in the eyes of the LCAP. So in this case, we believe that all educational partners play an integral role in contributing to and living out the district vision, mission, and values. It is only through a collective effort that we will be successful in creating a highly effective and successful organization. I added on the same slide the possible action categories. So last time I put those for the 2 goals. So this would be team building, community partnerships, which was all over the feedback or input that we received in surveys. This would be where we might identify our committee work. This would be where we would move that, reflect, redefine, and rebuild those cycles of continuous improvement out of the goal about connectedness. And this would be somewhere we could put basic services related to transportation, child nutrition, facilities. Goal 2 then would be the one that I showed on the prior slide, which is the concise or more condensed version about creating and maintaining the equitable, welcoming, and safe learning environment. The possible action categories would be professional development around building capacity and efficacy, developing the whole child, the social emotional development, special programs. A word was added. It said language, individual culture, identity, interests was added. We would put special programs under this particular goal in the actions, and then MTSS related to SEL. And lastly would be the academic, again, not in any particular order, but it's the last goal, the academic excellence for all students. And then this has not changed. So possible action categories are still the instructional resources, supplemental intervention, support staff, MTSS related to academics, assessments, and content-specific professional development. So I'm going to stop for a moment and just let you take it in that the changes, the additions. So just reminding you that for each goal, we will have the goal description, the why statement, the metrics, and then the actions under those goals. Okay, so
Kelly?
At this point, questions, comments, suggestions, and any input that the board would like to provide us?
Thank you so much. So with our goal one, I understand that you were trying to make it more concise, and we have, I'm sorry, I'm like reading back over it. Oh, well, okay, thank you. I see, okay, so now goal two, thank you for pointing that out to me. We have our value in diversity in language and culture, identity, interests. What about our neurodivergent learners and our special ed students? Like, I would like to see some wording so that we have some goals, especially in light of what's going on
Absolutely.
in our
Mhm.
classrooms. I mean, I was there a year and a half ago, and there is a need to make sure that we have those goals set, or those action steps.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And just, I think, in one of my presentations, I believe I shared that one of the changes in the format is there has to be an action for every student group that is in the red performance level on the dashboard. So that absolutely will be the case for many student groups across the district. So it's any red group at any school in the district has to have action identifying what is going to be done to support that particular student group. So yes, it will be in the actions.
Thank you.
Oh, a lot of work. Thank you. Thank you for coming and presenting tonight. In regards to our special needs students and children that come to us with IEPs, will that be addressed in the district plan or LCAP plan? How to address those students as they come to us, as opposed to when they start like TK and then advance through the grade levels? Will that be something that the district puts in a goal in one of those
Actions?
Yeah, action.
I probably need to know a little bit more.
Well, we had this whole study, how was it, last March? I forget. But every child comes in equally. And so the MTSS tiers kick in when a student comes in with an identified need. So they go into a tier 2 and a tier 3.
Yes.
As they progress, or they come in with an IEP, you need to assess a proper placement, etc. So in our LCAP, are we going to identify, because I don't remember reading anything like that in our LCAP.
So MTSS would fall under the current goal 3 in the
Okay.
academics. So that would be MTSS for academics. So yes, that would be addressed. And then as far as our students with disabilities, depending on, well, first of all student groups are identified and addressed in the LCAP. So regardless, it's in the metrics. And even currently, if you look through the metrics, you will see all student groups are identified in the academics. So whether it's the ELA or the math. So that will continue. The question is, at this point, with student groups that fell in the red on the dashboard and their action step, yes, we would be naming specific student groups. So for example, we have our students with disabilities that fell in the red on the dashboard for attendance, chronic absenteeism. So there will need to be an action for students with disabilities with underneath the goal, but an action on how we're going to improve student attendance and reduce chronic absenteeism. Now, does that mean that's the only student group? Not necessarily. So you may see multiple student groups with that same action, or that the action step is going to address the needs of multiple student groups, but they will be named. It will be called out specifically for each student group.
Perfect.
So again, where it's appropriate and what's needed, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so the district writes the LCAP and then it goes down to the school site and they develop their school site plan based on the district LCAP.
Yes, so the school plan for student achievement, they will have the same goals. Their action steps might not necessarily be the same, but they will have the same goals. And the difference for the school plans is that any student group in yellow, orange, or red has to be addressed in their school plan. Since we're writing at the district level, we write for the red collectively of all the schools, but the schools will actually identify all student groups and particularly student groups in the 3 colors. But yes, they'll use our goals and some action steps would be the same, but there is variation because you have to remember they're using their site funds. So what they're really identifying is, yes, we are doing these things that the actions that the district's supporting, but now we have specific actions that our funds are going towards.
Oh, I see. I hear you
Yeah.
now.
But there's alignment. They consider it alignment, not exact, not identical, similar, but different.
But the accountability needs to be there at the district level. If a school is struggling meeting that expectation of the district LCAP. And so is there a formula here that will address the support that a principal needs and staff needs to address those red, blue, and green, yellow blocks?
So when we identify the action, so for example, if there's, let's take attendance, it's just on the top of my mind right now. In attendance, if we're addressing chronic absenteeism, we will have additional schools participating in ICANN with the County Office of Education, which is the team that really focuses on attendance, reducing chronic absenteeism, and increasing daily attendance. And so that will be written in as an action that is going to support those schools, as well as continue to support schools that have gone through that process, because the remaining sites have already gone through that partnership with the county to focus on attendance.
Thank you so much. I know we're going to have a study session. Is there any other ads?
What I hear you saying, like when I think about past experiences, for example, like we have a school site that has allocated more funds for instructional assistance and maybe more hours and things of that nature. And then so another school that does not have as much funds because there's a smaller location. Now that instructional assistant goes to the bigger school and the other school is left without the instructional assistant. So I think what you're asking is, how does the district then support the school that doesn't have the funds? Is that? Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay. Do I say that again or?
Well, I think, you know, you write your question and because we're going to go into a study session, but that's a good question. And I could talk all day about that. So,
but I understand the question. The question is about, because sites do receive different budgets and they are based on enrollment and they are based on students that are currently enrolled. So the categoricals as well. So not only are the LCFF funds based on total enrollment, but then the amount of Title I funding, for example, is based on their number of multilingual learners. And Title III funds based on their multilingual learners. And Title I is based on socioeconomic, really free and reduced lunch. So there's a formula that we have to follow to allocate those funds. So I know your bigger question is, if a site is struggling and they do not have their funds, how might we support them?
Yes.
I don't have an answer for you right now, but I understand the
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
okay. Any other questions, Jose? No? Janet? No? Okay, so what's our study session, Superintendent?
June 4th.
June 4th.
So I will come before you on June 4th with a draft of our LCAP. And June 6th, we will have the public hearing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Assistant Superintendent Riker Montel, can you, or I'm sorry, that's actually Amy, that can back up the presentation to the new goal? All right. I just wanted to talk to this a little bit. I am really excited about these three goals, and I know that that Pamela has really she has done a lot of work around this, so I just want to appreciate all the work that she's doing, staying late and looking at all the feedback. I'm really excited about this goal. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, and today in consultation, I shared something that that just kind of has hit me. As a teacher, as a principal, as a director, an assistant as a superintendent now, as a parent, I have been frustrated with the school system. There are great people working in the school systems. There are great people serving communities, but the system we've created has failed students, has failed communities throughout the state, throughout the country. And if anybody wants to look at the research around that, it is very, very clear. It is very clear. There's research around school to prison pipelines. There's research around states using third grade reading levels to build prisons. There's a lot of research that shows that systems have failed. Not necessarily the people in those systems, but the actual system. In South Bay, our district is a system, and everybody that's in our district kind of reacts to whatever the system kind of sets up, right? We do whatever works in the system to either meet the needs of our students, to advocate for this, advocate for that, whatever it is. It's systems. And unless we can really step out of that and look at how to do things differently in schools and in school districts, we're going to continue to make some of the same mistakes because we're stuck in this system that has taught us for many, many, many years. I mean, I don't know, you know, I'm pretty old. I remember talking about equity for at least 25 years that I've been in education, 25, 26, I don't even remember how many years. But I know we've been talking about equity that long. And guess what? We're still talking about equity. The state is starting to look again at suspension rates because we haven't changed anything. So as I look at this, I see an amazing opportunity for our district to really think outside the box, to look at our system and say, it does not have to be this way. It doesn't. Right now, I was just thinking back to when Trustee Amaral said, why can't the state set the salaries for everybody? We're state employees. How come they can't set the salaries for everybody? Instead, they have districts and their labor partners fight over limited resources. That's the system that we're dealing with. So for me, as I get frustrated, but I also see this great opportunity for us to really look within our system and say, how is it that we can work together as a team? We have so many challenges in our district. We're looking at consolidating some schools. We're looking at declining enrollment, which I have said is probably one of the biggest challenges that we have. The other challenge that we have is our district culture, is our district system, because we believe that the way to get things done is to misrepresent the truth, to fight with each other, not to work on the same goals. Our district our board. And thank you, Trustee Ellsworth, because I know she was a big advocate of our district vision, mission, and values, identifying those. We took the time to come up with a district vision, a mission, and a values. We included the community. So when we look at this, we don't say this is the board's district vision, mission, and values. We say this is the community's district vision, mission, and values. And so for me, this goal gives us a really clear opportunity to say, we're going to work as a team on this guiding principle that we are going to reach our district vision. That the South Bay Union School District is actually going to be a foundational piece of this community, and we are going to improve the service to our students and to our community. We have a golden opportunity right now. So I'm really excited about this, because when I think about this and I go, okay, what is it that we can do as a system, as a school district? What can we do to ensure that we're getting to academics? Well, it's very simple to me. We can improve how we work as a system. Our challenges are so huge that if we don't work together, if we continue pushing in different directions with specialized agendas, we're not going to make it. And in 2, 3, 4, however many years I'm here, we'll get a new superintendent. They'll be faced with the same challenges because the system has not changed. It's not the people, it's the system. And so I wanted to share with the community that's here tonight and the board that I'm really excited about this goal. I'm really excited about the possibility of us working together, guided by a district community vision, mission, and values. And I hope we can get there. I know we can get there. We have amazing people in our district that are committed to our students. We just need to work on the system. We need to work on the culture. Working together as a team, we can accomplish this. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. I always like the way you round us up and get our wagons going in the right direction. So thank you. And thank you. Where's Pamela? I still have it. And we need to always speak to it, because you're right, Superintendent. We're never going anywhere unless we bring everybody with us. So culture is important. So any other comments or questions? Nope. Hearing none. We'll move on. It's 8:07, Kelly. Moving on, Business Services D. Thank you for staying with us, Assistant Superintendent Rigo Lara, who is going to provide information on the annual independent performance audit for Prop X, Y, and NN. Thank
Good
you.
evening again, President Quinones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, staff and community. Proposition 39 includes accountability provisions to ensure that we're using bond dollars appropriately. Just earlier today, you passed 2 resolutions to go for another bond. It's important that when we tell the voters that we are going to do something, that we do that. And that's the purpose of the audit, that we are spending the funds according to the projects that the voters approved. And also that we aren't spending the dollars in certain ways, specifically operating expenses such as our salaries, and again, another school operating expenses. Christy White is our auditor, and the other things that they look at is our financial statements, our fiscal departments and other departments' internal controls. They look at our expenditures, and when we go out to bid for projects, they also look at the bidding process, and then to ensure that we're doing that appropriately as well. The great news is there weren't any findings. Again, you can see there that the previous years, there were also no findings. So again, as we look forward to hopefully another bond, it's important for the community to know that we're spending those dollars appropriately and that an outside firm is confirming that. Are there any questions before I ask the board to accept the audit?
Any questions from the board? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the annual independent performance audit. Turn the page here. I'll entertain a motion to accept the annual independent performance audit of Proposition X, Measure Y, and Proposition NN bonds.
Still move.
Okay, we got a first, we need a second.
Second.
Second. Let's call for the vote.
Riker.
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item up is Human Resources. I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Pamela Riker Montel, who introduced the item for us in the appointment of the principal at Nicolak School.
Thank you. Yes, I'm proud to, or honored to be here in Executive Director Griffith's absence. I come to you to present our recommendation for principal of Nicolak Elementary. The recommendation is to accept the appointment of Norma Sandoval. Norma Sandoval has 25 years of experience in education. Norma has a wealth of experience in school leadership, including dual language programs, language development, social emotional learning, and special education. She has worked in the San Diego, Lemon Grove, and Lakeside school districts in various positions, along with charter schools. And these positions include teacher, assistant principal, principal, executive director, and independent charters at CEO, superintendent, those types of roles. She has a bachelor's degree in social science, English from San Diego State, a master's degree in leadership studies from USD, multiple credentials, and is currently in the doctoral program in educational leadership and social justice. In addition, Norma is a nationally board certified teacher in English as a new language and was a founding principal of 2 Leader in Me schools. So again, I bring to you the recommendation to accept the appointment of Norma Sandoval as principal of Nicolak Elementary School.
As a Nicolak parent, I'm happy to make that motion.
Nicolak parent as well. I'll second it.
Riker, Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones. Motion passes 4-0.
Yes.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Superintendent Espinosa, District Leadership, Familias, and dedicated educators. I'm very excited to be able to join the South Bay community in serving our children. As you know, the Assistant Superintendent mentioned, I am very passionate about social justice. Equity is, my thing, and so hearing our superintendent speak about that excites me. I look forward to getting to know each one of you and serving our, Board of Directors, Familias, and obviously I'm fully bilingual and looking forward to this. It's really exciting to actually be able to serve the community that 25 years ago I wanted to do as an educator. So muchas gracias.
Well, welcome to South Bay. Thank you, Superintendent, for that work around that appointment. Moving on to item F, sunshining process, successor contract negotiations with CSEA Chapter 59. I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Rigo Lara, who will introduce the item.
Good evening. President Quinones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, community and staff. I am Rigo Lara, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services and a member of the district's bargaining team for negotiations with the California School Employees Association and its South Bay Chapter 59. I am filling in tonight for Melissa Griffith, the Executive Director of Human Resources, who is attending the SCR Board of Directors meeting in Ontario. Pursuant to Government Code Section 3547, the district and CSEA are required at a public meeting to provide the public with an opportunity to become informed and provide public comment on their respective initial proposals. The districts and CSEA's initial proposals are found under item 9F on this evening's agenda. We ask that the board allow for public comment on the district and CSEA's initial proposals and that the board adopt the district's initial proposals to CSEA. We also ask that the board receive CSEA's initial proposals.
At this time, I'm opening up for a public hearing. The time is 8:15. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll close at 8:15 and 30 seconds. Okay, now our work here is to call for a motion to approve the contract proposals for CSEA Chapter 59. May I have a motion?
I motion to approve.
By Trustee Liker,
Second.
a second by Medina. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, trustees. Moving on to G, Sunshine Process 2024-2025 Reopener Negotiations with SWATA. I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Rigo Lara, who will introduce the item. Thank you.
Good evening, trustees. I am Rigo Lara, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services and a member of the district's bargaining team for negotiations with the Southwest Teachers Association, SWATA. Pursuant to Government Code Section 3547, the district and SWATA are required at a public meeting to provide the public with opportunity to become informed and provide public comment on the respective initial proposals. The district's initial proposals to SWATA are found under item 9G on this evening's agenda. SWATA is presenting their initial, I believe they presented their initial proposals tonight. Negotiations are scheduled to begin with SWATA on May 10th, 2024. This week, Ms. Griffith provided some clarification to SWATA's President Vanessa Barrera regarding the scope of these 24-25 reopener negotiations. In summary, the district will only reopen total compensation, evaluation, and hours when negotiations commence later this month. We ask that the board allow for public comment on the district and SWATA's initial proposals and that the board adopt the district's initial proposals to SWATA. We also ask that the board receive SWATA's initial proposals.
I'd like to open up this public hearing. The time is 8:17. Do we have any public comments?
We do. Michelle Gates.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, it's a 3-minute, how many cards do we have? 1. Okay, we have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you, President Quinones. Thank you, trustees. Thank you, Superintendent, and everyone here for giving me a moment. So blunt is my thing a little bit, so here we go. We know full well that the COLA is projected at 0%. And I'm asking, because that's the polite thing to do, that you not be flippant with us about it. We know that. For us to ask for salary increase and health and welfare increase is because it is directly impacting our ability to keep our teachers, to keep our psychologists, to keep our staff, the people that we work with on a daily basis, the people we get into rhythms with, the people who we work with our students with. It also is directly impacting our ability to offer jobs. We are not being flippant. We are not unaware. Many of us have master's degrees and better. Please understand when we come and ask for something from you, we have thought it through. Class size, for us to be discussing that with you, it's because we keep asking about class size being addressed. It's important. It's impacting our students. It's impacting our ability to teach. We have teachers leaving us because of mental health issues. We have teachers leaving us because they need more money for themselves and their families. It's a care issue. We also have people who are not who are interviewing and not taking our jobs. We have to do better. So as you look, as you consider, as you hear, we know that money is tight, but you can't put it all on our backs. It can't be done. It needs to be distributed. It needs to be that we're looking at our administrative levels and whether or not they are top heavy. All our communities need to be doing that. But you can't keep putting it on teachers. And you can't act like we don't know what we're asking when we ask. Thank you.
That's the last public comment, Ms. Cooper. Yes, thank you. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. It is 8:21. Okay, moving on. At this time, I will open for a motion to approve the contract proposals for SWATA, Southwest Teachers Association, and its members. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar will be enacted in one motion in the form listed below. Prior to approval of the meeting agenda, there was an opportunity to request placing of the consent calendar items in the discussion action section of the board meeting. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the board vote. The superintendent and staff recommend approval, adoption, and ratification and acceptance of all consent calendar items unless otherwise noted. I'm open for a motion. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve all items on the consent calendar as listed, including the superintendent's recommendations for denial or approval of leave of absences.
We have a second.
Second.
And we have a motion to approve and a second. We'll call for the vote.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 10, future agenda items. At this time, any trustee may suggest one topic for a future board meeting. Is there any request? Thank you, Vice President Medina. You may go ahead.
I have a question for you, Superintendent. Is Nicola presenting before the end of the school year?
We're gonna have an update on, just an update on the dual language program, next board meeting, I believe.
The reason why I'm asking this is because trustee Aguino requested back in December or January, can't remember specifically. But since we haven't seen a school report presentation progress of the 50-50 dual immersion program, I would like to request a report presentation if possible by the end of the school year. I hope the board will support me on this timely ask.
We have had a request for a school report for Nikolov School that would entail all school report information, including the dual immersion program, presented to the trustees no later than our next meeting, which is June 6th. Yeah. And so what I'm hearing from Vice President Bendita is that this is a timely matter and she wants it to bring it forward at our next meeting. And so with that, we'd have to have consensus from the board to give direction to the superintendent to bring it forward in June. Do we have a consensus about that? We got a thumbs up? Where's your thumb? Oh, we got
Can I
four.
can I just clarify?
Sure.
In June, at the next board meeting, we were gonna give an update on the dual language program, on the changes of the dual language program. But I just heard a school report, which is different. than just an update on the dual language program. So do we want a complete school report, or do we just want an update on the dual language program? Because that's what we're planning right now, is an update on the dual language program.
So I'll open it to you, trustee Aguinos, and that, since that was your ask from the beginning, I was just following it up on it.
Okay, so just on the dual immersion? Yes?
Yeah, I think a report on the dual language immersion program would be great.
Thank you.
Okay, so we take our thumbs down and put our thumbs back up if it's just dual immersion program. We got it. Thank you, Superintendent.
And that is scheduled for the next board meeting.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. Is there any other request for a board? Go ahead, Kelly.
I'm not sure if it would be something that we visit at a meeting or a Friday update or something. But understanding that we're going into this new school year, I'd like to know about the consumables that we have, like the surplus of books and things that are not being used. Like, how can we address declining enrollment with the contracts that we have to take on these books? And maybe like have all school sites share what they have extra. So maybe, so I know in the past I've seen like there's a school that says, oh, I don't have any of these. And then there's a school that has a whole bunch of them. So how can we work together to use what we have and possibly not get more than we need?
Thank you. We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Liker, because the inventory is important, and there are lots of consumables sitting back there. And if we can share with other school sites, that's the best use of our money. So thank you for bringing that forward, and perhaps it would come in our Friday update. Is that what you were looking for? Friday update. Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to communications from the Board of Trustees. You have 3-minute limit per trustee. Anyone would like to go first? Since it's Trustee Jose's birthday, there you go. Happy birthday.
Just want to say thank you for everybody for coming to celebrate my birthday tonight. Was not expecting the surprise party. I saw the balloons, the music. Thank you very much.
Trustee Liker.
Yes, thank you all for coming. I was able to go to the Nestor Spring Festival because that's where my children attend. And with such a busy schedule, I'm glad that I can show up to any of the events, and I love hearing from everybody else about the events that I can't come to. I was also able to go to the symposium on biliteracy, the award ceremony where Nikolov was honored, as well as a Southwestern student who is a product of our district. And it was absolutely amazing to listen to their dreams and goals that have started with our district and being bilingual and biliterate. So I hope that we can continue to grow programs like that and VAPA with our amazing Mendoza students and students throughout our district. So that's all. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Vice President Medina.
Since our last board meeting, I attended Nestor Town Hall meeting. I would like to encourage the rest of the board to attend to Linda Vista Innovation Centers and have the experience that I also had. I attended also the Leadership and Biliteracy, where the dual immersion team from Nikolov were recognized. I was gonna attend the Nikolov Community School meeting, but it was canceled due to unforeseeable circumstances related to SDG&E. But it has been rescheduled for Thursday, May 16 at 4:30. Last but not least, I attended today to the VIP art exhibition.
Thank you. Thank you. In closing, I will be brief. I attended the 2 town hall meetings. It's interesting to see, not that I don't know, but it's interesting to revisit those school sites. And it's a constant reminder that the cultures really are embedded in each school site. And so, going to Central is different than Mendoza. And so, having grown up here and played here and worked here, Central is the same. And Mendoza, you know, is not that old. It's like not even 30 yet. So there's two things I look at when I go there. It's important to know what the culture is, I think. In addition, I would like to also thank our instrumental music program this evening. They were outstanding. We are going to do more for music. And stay tuned. Thank you, PTA. Outstanding donations for books. Are those books that children take home? Okay. And so are they library books in a library or take home books? Perfect, perfect. Well, thank your council and all their work. I appreciate that. In regards to the SELPA, I did watch the SELPA meeting and I believe our superintendent chaired that meeting. And so I just want to recognize our parents that are organizing around special ed students and having their voices heard. I know we updated our board policy in regards to the Community Advisory Committee. And so that wasn't too long ago. So I know the district is working towards that end. So I thank you, Superintendent, for knowing about what's happening. And I thank the parents for coming this evening. And I thank our teachers. It was awesome to see you tonight and celebrate Trustee Jose's birthday with us and the public. Thank you so much and have a good evening. The meeting is adjourned. 8:30.